All right, let's piss some people off. Carl Jung believes some women never grow up. He called it the eternal girl, a woman stuck in a state of emotional adolescence, dodging responsibility like it's a bill collector. So is this just some outdated, crusty old man psychology? Or did Jung crack open a truth so uncomfortable that we'd rather choke on it than admit it? And before you get all defensive, we're not just coming for women, because Jung also had something to say about men who refuse to grow up, but in a completely different way. Hey rockers! By the end of this, you're going to see the difference, the similarities, and, most importantly, how to avoid the trap yourself. But we are taking it one step further, asking a question that you probably have not thought of. Are you ready to rock? Let's rock that wisdom! Jung talked about the eternal girl, a woman who refuses to grow up.
The eternal child is always in a state of becoming, is never anything complete and final.
And you've seen this play out. You know that girl who's always in a toxic relationship. Every breakup is a Shakespearean-level tragedy, but somehow it's never her fault. She's got a PhD in picking the wrong guy. She'll flood her feed with posts about her healing journey, drop some half-baked wisdom about choosing herself, and then, boom, 3 weeks later, she's back with another arsehole. Same chaos, same emotional rollercoaster. Growth? Nah. She's just running the same damn script with different actors, waiting for someone else to come in and rewrite the ending for her. Jung didn't just say this about women. He also talked about the eternal boy, though his version of immaturity smelled a little different. He's not clinging to relationships or fishing for emotional rescue. No, he's addicted to something even more intoxicating. His own bullshit. Meet the guy who's always working on something big. He's got more projects in the pipeline than a tech startup, but somehow, none of them ever leave the brainstorming phase. Ask him why he hasn't made a move, and you'll get the classics. I'm waiting for the right moment. I need to do more research, etc. Yeah, he's scared shitless. Because as long as he never actually does anything, he never has to find out if he's actually mediocre. So he keeps dodging the real world, comfortably stuck in the fantasy that his big break is always just around the corner. Women stay dependent on others. Men stay dependent on a fantasy of their own limitless potential. Either way, neither of them ever has to face reality. Different causes, same result. Permanent childhood. All right, so we know men and women screw themselves over in different ways. But what actually keeps them marinating in their own bullshit? Surprise, surprise. It starts at home. Now, let's talk about mommy issues. Jung pointed to the mother complex as a major reason why some people never grow up. For women, a strong mother complex can keep them psychologically tied to external support. Instead of making her independent, it leaves her waiting for someone else to take care of things. A pattern Jung warned about when he wrote,
The negative aspect of the mother complex invariably leads to the daughter's own immaturity, helplessness, and suffering.
Think about the woman who never really makes decisions for herself. She moves straight from her father's house to her boyfriend's, then to her best friend's, and if that falls apart, she's completely lost. Every major choice in her life, career, finances, even opinions, comes from someone else. She calls it trusting the people she loves, but in reality, she's just outsourcing adulthood. But for men though, different beast. The guy with a mother complex doesn't stay dependent. He runs. He spent his childhood feeling smothered, so now anything that even hints at commitment feels like a trap. He doesn't want to be controlled, so he rejects all responsibility, all commitment. Exactly what Jung meant when he called him
a lifelong adolescent, unwilling to assume responsibility.
You know this guy. He's the one who acts allergic to stability. The moment a relationship starts getting serious, he's gone. The second a job requires him to actually stick with something, he's looking for an exit. So, his childhood, dominated by a mother who smothered him or controlled too much, taught him that obligation isn't security. It's a trap. He won't commit to a career path. He won't commit to a city. And his entire personality is just a string of half-finished hobbies and maybe someday dreams. He calls it freedom. But let's be real, it's just Peter Pan cosplay with commitment issues. So we've got the psychological root of the problem. But here's a question. Why don't people just snap out of it? But before we continue, tell us, what do you think? What's worse? A woman living through a series of curated personas, or a man living through the illusion of his own untapped greatness? Comment below. And if you are still here, then you are surely getting something out of this. So go ahead and step on that like button like a distortion effect pedal. So if growing up is the way out of this endless loop, why do people avoid it like it's a tax bill? Well, because it sucks. Jung called this process individuation, the painful transition from being a fragmented person to becoming whole. So most people would rather lick a subway pole than go through it. For women, growing up means facing independence. No more safety nets, no more blaming exes, no more healing eras that are just thinly disguised vacations from responsibility. It means no one's coming to rescue you, no matter how many therapy buzzwords you throw on Instagram. So it's terrifying, because taking full ownership of your life means there's no one left to blame. For men, it means accepting that potential isn't a personality trait. But instead of facing that truth, they hide behind excuses like, I could totally write a book if I had the time, or I just need the right moment to start my business. So no more jerking off to the idea of success instead of actually doing something. Because here's the nightmare scenario. What if you try and you're just average? So the real question is, what's worse? Letting go of a fantasy or finding out you were never special to begin with? Jung would say, both are equally terrifying. What do you think? Comment below. So we get it. Growing up is hard, painful even. But here's the real question you probably have not thought about. Is growing up actually necessary? Or is immaturity just an easier way to coast through life? Jung would say the only real path is taking full responsibility for your own life, your own mind, your own choices. No safety nets, no excuses, just you and the weight of your own existence. But let's be real, not everyone's going to do it. Some people don't just tolerate immaturity, they turn it into a survival strategy. Why struggle when you can play helpless and let someone else clean up the mess? Why take risks when you can sit back and tell yourself you're waiting for the right moment? Well, because here's the catch. Nothing lasts forever. Sooner or later, the safety nets disappear. The world stops making exceptions. And suddenly, you're not the quirky free spirit or the misunderstood genius anymore. You're just the person who never figured it out.